Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about cultural belonging and the well-being among multilingual adolescents. We have five group members, and my name is Huang Huiru, and my student number is 8207623. Our topic focuses on cultural belonging and the psychological well-being among multilingual adolescents. In today's globalized world, it is increasingly common for young people to grow up speaking two or more languages. For these adolescents, language rep- represents far more than communication. It carries identity, cultural memory, and a sense of social belonging. From a developmental psychological perspective, adolescence is a crucial stage for identity formation, as described in Erickson's theory of identity versus role confusion. During this period, cultural belonging plays an important role in shaping emotional regulation, self-esteem, social adjustment, and the overall psychological well-being. Understanding this relationship helps us better support adolescents who are navigating complex cultural environments. Multilingual adolescents often face unique challenges. They frequently shift between different cultural norms, languages, and expectations. This can make it difficult for them to integrate multiple identities, sometimes leading to confusion or internal conflict. These changes tend to be even more visible in multicultural societies like Malaysia, where adolescents must consistently navigate diverse cultural contexts. Therefore, the purpose of our study is threefold. First, we aim to explore how cultural belonging influences the emotional and the psychological well-being of multilingual adolescents. Second, we seek to understand how these adolescents from a stable sense of self while living within multiple cultures. And finally, we integrate developmental psychology theories with insights from a professional counselor to provide a more comprehensive and real-world understanding of this issue.
Multiculturalism and the multilingual contact. The multicultural environment in Malay frequently exposes teenagers to the multiple language and cultures. They speak their native language at home and use Malay or English at school or in the social interaction. Learning to adapt is different cultural normal and social experimentation from a young age. Who are multilingual adolescents? Multilingual teenagers use multiple languages in their daily lives and often come from family and communications that pose on special cultures. Well, they own actor culture. They integrate into the national culture and their identity is influenced by family, society, and education. Challenges faced upon the multilingual adolescent. They often encounter social discomfort caused by language barrier and lingual and dietary difference, as well as self-awareness, confidence, and brought about by multiple cultural identities, which can easily lead to low self-esteem, isolation, or differently in adaptation. The importance of cultural belonging. A strong sense of cultural belonging is conducive to the emotion, stability, and identity recognition of multiple teenagers. It is difficult to form a stable self-presentation and without cultural support. linked to psychological well-being. The degree of cultural connection affects mental health. Teenagers with a cultural foundation are happier, more inclusive, and adaptable. Lack of a connection can easily lead to the loneliness and self-doubt, and in the long run, it may cause by psychological problems. Why Malaysia is an ideal example. Malaysia brings together diverse cultures such as Malays, Chinese, and Indians, making it an ideal place to observe how multilingual teenagers build their identities, sense of belonging, and mental health in a complex social environment.
Now it's turn to the parts of interview findings. Please let me give a brief background of this interview. First of all, our study adopted a semi-structured interview with Miss Grace, a certified psychological counselor who has long worked with Malaysian teenagers adult from different ethnic and language backgrounds. The interview took place on 12 November 2025 and lasted around 30 minutes, with about 13 minutes recorded, related to culture identity, challenges, belonging, and well-being among multilingual adolescents. Next, I will present the first major topic from our interview, which focused on how multilingual adolescents develop their cultural identity and sense of belonging. During the interview, Ms. Grace explained that in a multilingual and multi-ethnic environment like Malaysia, the development of cultural identity is not a fixed or linear process. Instead, it changes depending on the language they use at home, the language they use in school, and the cultural support they receive from different social settings. For example, many teenagers may speak their mother tongue at home but switch to Malay or English in school or in society. The constant language switching plays an important role in how they understand who they are and where they belong. What's more, family is the main source of cultural belonging. When families are able to consistently pass on their values, traditions, and languages, adolescents tend to feel more stable and experience less identity confusion. But when the family cannot provide enough cultural support, young people may struggle more with forming a clear cultural identity, especially in a diverse society. So, Miss Grace shared a case of a Malaysian teenager who grew up in New Zealand because she had a very few peers who shared with her cultural background, and she could not build a stable cultural connection even within her family. She experienced cultural shock in a Western country and struggled with identity confusion. This example shows that when cultural support is lacking, adolescent sense of identity can become unstable. Overall, this topic shows that a multilingual environment brings both advantages and challenges. The stability of family culture and the social support system plays a major role in helping multilingual adolescents develop a clear cultural identity and sense of belonging. For the second topic, Ms. Grace highlighted the main challenges multilingual adolescents face when balancing different cultural identities. These challenges go beyond language. They also include adapting to new environments, understanding different religions, and dealing with cultural dietary difference. She shared a case of a Malaysian Chinese student who was placed in a Malay primary school. At first, she could not understand Malay at all and struggled both in class and with her peers. She had to learn Malay quickly to adapt. And although this experience helped her develop a more flexible cultural identity, it also created a lot of stress. Ms. Grace explained that if teenagers fail to adapt, their self-esteem may decrease, and they may withdraw socially or feel that they do not belong. Religious and dietary differences are another challenge. For example, many Indian families avoid beef for religious reasons, while Malays commonly eat it. So adolescents who are not familiar with this difference may feel uncertain or confused during cross-cultural interactions. This can make them hesitate or uncomfortable in social situations, affecting their overall social adjustment. Overall, this topic shows that multilingual adolescents face multiple culture and social challenges, and these challenges can strongly influence their self-esteem and ability to adapt. The third topic is well-being differences between culturally connected and disconnected adolescents. Ms. Grace explained that multilingual adolescents show very different levels of well-being depending on how strongly they feel connected to their cultural background. Those who have stable cultural belonging tend to be more open-minded, adaptable, and confident. Growing up in a diverse environment makes them more comfortable with different values, languages, and traditions, which supports their emotional stability and overall well-being. In contrast, adolescents who feel disconnected from their culture are more likely to experience loneliness and uncertainty about who they are. They often struggle with questions like, who am I and where do I belong? This can lead to identity confusion and emotional stress. She shared a case of an Indian client who grew up facing conflict between his mother's strong religious expectations and his own beliefs. Because he could not relate to the religious practice in his family, he gradually developed negative feelings towards his culture and was unable to gain a sense of belonging. The lack of cultural connection affected both his identity and his long-term emotional well-being. Overall, this topic showed that cultural belonging plays a key role in shaping the psychological health of multilingual adolescents.
Now I will explain about discussion part. According to Finnish theory, adolescents go through three identity stages. My findings shows that multilingual adolescents move through these stages differently depending on family support, language exposure, and their cultural environment. For example, when families use their heritage language and practice cultural tradition, adolescents develop stronger self-identity and emotional well-being, but adolescents who lack this cultural connection experience confusion and social withdrawal. Overall, the findings support past studies showing that heritage language and cultural involvement help build a stable multicultural identity. Moreover, these findings have important implications for families and schools. Families should continue using their heritage language and cultural tradition because these practices build identity, emotional security, and confidence in adolescents. Schools also plays a key role. They should include multicultural training, inclusive lessons, and culturally sensitive counseling. By having multicultural counselors and supportive peers, students can manage cultural clashes and identity stress more effectively. Finally, the overall conclusion for this discussion shows that cultural belonging is extremely important. When adolescents feel connected to their cultural background, they develop confidence and adapt better in multicultural environments. However, when cultural connection is weak, they may face identity confusion and emotional stress. This highlights the needs for strong support from both families and schools to guide adolescents through identity development in multicultural society.
To conclude, I want to highlight one main point. Cultural belonging is very important for multilingual teenagers. When teenagers get support from their families through language, traditions, and shared values, they usually feel safer, more confident, and more comfortable in a multicultural environment like Malaysia. But when they lose connection with their own culture, they may feel confused about who they are. This can affect their self-esteem and make it harder for them to fit in at school or in society. Because of this, families, schools, and communities should work together to support these adolescents by understanding their backgrounds and encouraging them to value their culture. we can help them grow up happier, healthier, and more confident. In short, when multilingual teenagers feel they belong, they can adapt better and thrive. Thank you.